Shalom, welcome to Tactically Torah. I am Heath Hayes. Today is day 66 of Read the Bible in a Year, and we are reading Deuteronomy's chapters 23 through 25. Let's get started. Deuteronomy 23. He who is wounded by crushing of testicles or whose penis is cut off shall not enter into the community of Yahweh. A mamzer shall not enter the community of Yahweh. Even a 10th generation of his shall not enter the community. So a mamzer, real quick, is Hebrew, and that word literally means an individual who is born of a prohibited union. So, yeah. Let's see. Yeah. Verse 3. An Ammonite or a Moabite an Ammonite or a Moabite shall not enter the assembly of Yahweh. Even a 10th generation of them shall not enter the assembly of Yahweh, because they did not meet you with the bread and the water on the way when you came out of Mitzrayim, because they hired against you Balaam, son of Beor, from Pethor of Aram Naharaim, to curse you. But Yahweh your Elohim refused to listen to Balaam, and Yahweh your Elohim turned the curse into a blessing for you, because Yahweh your Elohim loves you. Do not seek their peace nor their good all your days forever. Do not loathe an Edomite, for he is your brother. Do not loathe a Mitzrayim, because you were a sojourner in his land. The children of the 3rd generation born to them do enter the assembly of Yahweh. The 3rd generation of the Edomite or the Mitzrayim. When the camp goes out against your enemies, when you shall guard yourself from every evil matter, when there is any man among you who is not clean because of an emission in the night, then he shall go outside the camp, and let him not come into the midst of the camp. And it shall be at the approach of evening that he bathes with water, and when the sun sets, let him come into the midst of the camp. And you shall have a place outside the camp where you shall go out. And you shall have a sharp implement among your equipment when you sit down outside. You shall dig with it, and turn and cover your excrement. Okay, so when you gotta go poop, you need to have a sharp implement, a shovel, so that you can bury that crap. For Yahweh your Elohim walks in the midst of your camp to deliver you and give your enemies over to you. Therefore your camp shall be set apart, so that he does not see unclean matter among you, and shall turn away from you. You do not hand over to his master the slave who has escaped from his master to you. Let him dwell with you in your midst, in the place which he chooses within one of your gates, where it is pleasing to him. Do not oppress him. None of the daughters of Israel is to be a cult prostitute, nor any of the sons of Israel be a cult prostitute. Do not bring the harlot fee of a whore, or pay of a dog, to the house of Yahweh your Elohim for any vowed offering. For both of these are an abomination to Yahweh your Elohim. Do not lend at interest to your brother, interest of silver, interest of food, or interest of whatever is lent at interest. To a foreigner you lend at interest, but to your brother you do not lend at interest, so that Yahweh your Elohim might bless you in all that you put your hand to in the land which you are entering to possess. When you make a vow to Yahweh your Elohim, do not delay to pay it, for Yahweh your Elohim is certainly requiring it of you, and it shall be sin in you. But when you abstain from vowing, it is not sin in you. That which has gone from your lips you shall guard to do, for you voluntarily vowed to Yahweh your Elohim that what you have promised with your mouth when you come into I'm sorry, I got to read that one more time. Verses 22. Well, really 21. When you make a vow to Yahweh your Elohim, do not delay to pay it, for Yahweh your Elohim is certainly requiring it of you, and it shall be sin in you. But when you abstain from vowing, it is not sin in you. That which has gone from your lips you shall guard to do, for you voluntarily vowed to Yahweh your Elohim what you have promised with your mouth. When you come into your neighbor's vineyard, you shall eat to the satisfaction of your desire, but do not put any in a receptacle of yours. When you come into your neighbor's standing grain, and shall pluck the heads with your hand, or you shall pluck the heads with your hand, but do not use a sickle on your neighbor's standing grain. Don't go harvesting. You can break a head or two off. Don't go harvesting. Chapter 24. When a man when a man takes a wife and shall marry her, then it shall be, if she finds no favor in his eyes, because he has found a matter of uncoveredness in her, and he shall write her a certificate of divorce and put it in her hand and send her out of his house. And if she left his house and went and become another man's wife, and the latter husband shall hate her and write her a certificate of divorce and put it in her hand and send her out of his house, or when the latter husband dies who took her to be his wife, then the former husband who sent her away is not allowed to take her back to be his wife after she has been defiled, for that would be an abomination before Yahweh. And do not bring sin on the land which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you as an inheritance. When a man has taken a new wife, let him not go out to the army, nor to any matter be imposed on him. He shall be exempt 1 year for the sake of his home, to rejoice with his wife whom he has taken. No one takes in pledge the lower or the upper millstone, for he would be taking a life in pledge. When a man is found kidnapping any of his brothers of the children of Israel, and treats him harshly or sells him, then that kidnapper shall die. Thus you shall purge the evil from your midst. Take heed in an outbreak of leprosy to diligently guard to do according to all that the priests and the Levites teach you, as I have commanded them, so you shall guard to do. Remember what Yahweh your Elohim did to Mitzrayim on the way when you came out of Mitzrayim. When you lend your brother a loan, do not go into his house to get his pledge. Stand outside, let the man to whom you lend bring the pledge out to you. And if the man is poor, do not sleep with his pledge. By all means, a pledge would be like collateral. In verse 13, by all means return the pledge to him at sundown, and he shall sleep in his own garment and shall bless you, and it shall be righteousness to you before Yahweh your Elohim. Do not oppress a hired servant who is poor and needy. Of your brothers or of your sojourners who are in the land within your gates, give him his wages, and on the same day you do not let the sun go down on it, for he is poor and lifts up his being to it. so that he does not cry out against you to Yahweh, and it shall be sin in you. Fathers are not put to death for their children, and children are not put to death for their fathers. Each is to die for his own sin. Do not twist the right ruling of a sojourner or the fatherless, nor take the garment of a widow, but you shall remember that you were a slave in Mitzrayim, and that Yahweh your Elohim ransomed you from there. Therefore I am commanding you to do this word. When you reap your harvest in your field and have forgotten a sheaf in the field, do not go back to get it. Let it be for the sojourner and the fatherless, and for the widow, so that Yahweh your Elohim might bless you in the work of your hands. Then you beat your olive tree. When you beat your olive trees, do not examine the branch behind you. Let it be for the sojourner, for the fatherless, and for the widow. When you gather the grapes of your vineyard, do not glean behind you. Let it be for the sojourner, for the fatherless, and for the widow. And you shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Mitzrayim. Therefore I am commanding you to do this word. Chapter 25. When there is a dispute between men, then they shall come unto judgment, and they shall be judged, and the righteous declared righteous, and the wrongdoer declared wrong. And it shall be, if the wrongdoer is to be struck, that the judge shall cause him to lie down and be struck in his presence with a number of blows according to his wrong. 40 strikes he gives him, but no more, lest he strike him with many more blows than these, and your brother be degraded before your eyes. Do not muzzle an ox while it is threshing. When your brothers dwell together, and one of them has died and has no son, the widow of the dead shall not become a stranger's outside. Her husband's brother does go into her, and shall take her as his wife, and perform the duty of a husband's brother to her. And it shall be that the firstborn son which she bears does rise up for the name of his dead brothers, so that his name is not blotted out of Israel. But if the man does not desire to take his brother's wife, then let his brother's wife go up to the gate of the elders, and say, my husband's brother refuses to raise up a name for his brother in Israel, and he does not agree to perform the duty of my husband's brother. The elders of his city shall then call him and speak to him, and he shall stand and say, I have no desire to take her. Then his brother's wife shall come to him in the presence of the elders, and remove his sandal from his foot, and shall spit in his face, and answer and say, thus it is done to the man who does not build up his brother's house. And in Israel his name shall be called the house of him who had his sandal removed. When men fight with one another, and the man and his brother and the wife of one shall draw near and rescue her husband from the hand of one striking him, and shall put out her hand and take hold of him by the genitals, then you shall cut off her hand. Your eye does not pardon. You shall not have in your bag differing weights, a heavy weight and a light. You shall not have in your house differing measures, a large and a small. You shall have a perfect and right weight and a perfect and right measure, so that they prolong your days on the soil which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you. For all who do these, and all who do unrighteously, are an abomination to Yahweh your Elohim. Remember that Amalek did to you on the way as you were coming out of Mitzrayim, how he met you on the way and attacked your back, all the feeble ones in your rear, when you were tired and weary, and he did not fear Elohim. Therefore it shall be when Yahweh your Elohim has given you rest from your enemies all around in the land which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you to possess as an inheritance, that you blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under the heavens. Do not forget. All right, that is 23, 24, and 25 of Deuteronomy. Shalom.